Episode 4 of the Mad Fantasy Football Podcast. Running Back Rankings Part 2. We are telling you the RB2s today. I got the homies, Goni with me, Begley. A little switcheroo today. Typically we got Goni on the bottom, Begley on the top. We did a little flip-flop, trying to keep you on your toes. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Good, man. Just pounding through these rankings.
Tonight, I should say.
Great.
Mad Mob, it's 2:25 a.m. and we are starting. That's how we've been grinding these ranks out for y'all. We're going to be wiping eye boogers away. We got Begley with, the tiniest of slits for eyes. He's about to go. He's about to fall asleep on the mic, but we are getting it done for you all. We do have some Reddit questions at the end again, right?
Yeah, we do. We got three of them.
Reddit questions at the end. I'm liking those. Let's get after it, boys. Number 13, and you will see, we kept our rankings, generally the same. So, for example, this first one we have Josh Jacobs. I have him at 10. But he is the number 13 consensus because Goni has him at 13 and Begley has him at 12. Josh Jacobs as the best RB2. What's up with him?
Well, man, I like Josh Jacobs this year. It's obviously by my rank, I have him as number 12. It's a contract year for Josh Jacobs. Raiders declined to pick up his fifth-year option. Money motivates. He had a 66% snap share last year. I don't think that changes. Matter of fact, I think that might actually go up a little bit. But what stat kind of really surprised me about Josh Jacobs? 56. I'm sorry. Hang on a sec. I'm projecting 56 receptions. Ended the year last year at 54. He kind of has a rep of a guy not involved in the passing game. We talked about it a lot. John Gruden for a couple of years, hemmed and hawed, finally got involved once John Gruden left. So pretty surprising there, man. He's the clear red zone option in Vegas. I'm all in on Josh Jacobs.
Clear red zone option. Do you want to take that one, Goni, or should I?
Oh, it's all you.
Clear red zone option. I don't know if you knew this, but there's a guy by the name of Davante Adams that is now wearing a Raiders uniform. There's also a fella by the name of Darren Waller that wears that same uniform who are big at red zone threats. Let me give you a stat. Last year, he had his fewest rushing attempts of his entire career. And I'm confused where you're getting the red zone because he finished at the back half of the league in red zone rushing attempts and only had 6 red zone targets. So he ain't a red zone threat. If you're projecting that he's going to be a red zone threat, I don't see those projections with Davante Adams coming in and Darren Waller coming in. I do agree with you. I had him at my 10, so I had him ranked higher than you. You said it perfect. Money motivates. That man, they declined his 5th year. He's playing for his money. He's playing for a contract. And that is really it. I think they're going to use him up because they know that he's not going to be there next year. They ain't worried about his longevity. He's got talent behind him. And like you said again, he's on the field for over 60% of the snaps. I don't think he's going to be doing it on the back of red zone efficiency. I think he's just going to be barreling through defensive linemen to get it done.
Well, I guess let me explain a little further. 100% of his touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, that is, came in the red zone last year.
Fair.
Right? from the 5-yard and in, Josh Jacobs is getting the ball, and he doesn't have any competition there.
Fair, yeah.
One little interesting fact, and then I'll let you go about Josh Jacobs. The Raiders kicked more field goals last year than any other team in the league, had the most field goal attempts. I think Adams helps extend drives, moves the chains on third down.
That's a good point. I
see a total 5% increase across the board for Josh Jacobs this year.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I know I had him ranked lower than both of you guys at 13. He's going to be knocking on the door of the RB1 realm for sure. Getting Davante Adams, it's a big weapon that helps out the run game. Really, a lot of the time last year, the Raiders were playing from behind, so it was a negative game script. They had to throw the ball more, had to catch up. That obviously is going to take away from your runs. He still did pretty well, though. He had 8 games with 15 or more. He He had double-digit points in 13 of the 15 that he played in. He only missed 2 games, which really isn't too bad.
Not at all.
And, I mean, really, bottom line, you guys touched on everything. The major upgrade on offense with Davante Adams should just help the offense move the chains more scoring opportunities, as you pointed out.
Better defense as well, so shouldn't be playing behind as much. Chandler Jones, Max Crosby on that line. Number 14, Consists 14. I had him at 14. Goni had him at 12. Begley at 16 is James Conner. Begley, you got him pretty far back. What's going on?
Man, I've got him pretty low. It's a pure touchdown regression play for me. 15 rushing touchdowns last year. I don't see him getting there. I'm actually projecting him to get half. I think the Cardinals really are what they were for the last half of the season, especially without DeAndre Hopkins on the roster to start the year. What do you guys think?
I think that, he sorry, Wayne.
Go ahead.
I think that he kind of picks up where he left off last year as far as just being the pure workhorse guy. Chase Edmonds signed with the Dolphins. That's vacating 116 carries and 53 targets. They ran the ball a lot last year as it was. They had the 7th most rush attempts, and they're more than likely going to look to establish the run over the course of DeAndre Hopkins' suspension. He had 9 games of 14 or more last year. Really, I think he's an excellent value pick because right now his current ADP is the RB19.
Yeah, I'm with you. Chase Edmonds leaving. That's a lot of volume. I mean, he barely broke the top 20 in rushing attempts last year, and I think he breaks the top 10. I agree with you, Begley. He had 18 total touchdowns. That is going to be very tough to duplicate, and I don't think he will. But he was also the RB5 last year. He was RB5 off the back of 18 total touchdowns. So I agree there's going to be a regression on the touchdowns. I think there's going to be a increase in rushing, a slight increase in receiving, which will still keep him very relevant in your fantasy roster, and he could very well be an RB1 if he can sniff the touchdowns he got last year.
Yeah, I mean, Kyler Murray just really scares me in the red zone, man.
He loves to sprint it in when he sees pay dirt.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they were among the league leaders of running the ball though inside the 5-yard line. James Conner himself had 14 goal line carries, which is near the tops in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I mean the offense was high powered, man. I mean, but they fell off a cliff back half of the year.
Yeah, and they didn't necessarily dominate free agency, but
yeah,
Kyler wants his money. James Conner, he's solid. They got Hollywood. I think the offense is going to be okay.
I agree.
All right. Number 15, David Montgomery. I have him 16. Goni all the way back at 18. Begley highest at 14. Let me hear what Begley has to say. He's got him ranked at 14. Let's see what he's got going on.
Yeah, man, I've got a couple points, man. As I talked about last episode, I use a lot of statistical modeling to get my rankings, and he's a guy that kept popping out. I can't get him any lower than what I have, and I can't get him any higher. It's a contract year, first of all. Again, money motivates, man. I mean, this guy's playing for his second contract in the league with Tariq Cohen injury that just came out. Who's taking this man's snaps? Last year, his total snap share was at 75%, which was second, I think, right behind Najee Harris. Second behind Najee Harris.
Right. It's up there.
I don't see him sharing any work on this roster. Matt Nagy is out, which is a plus to all NFL players on the roster.
Yep.
Luke Getsy's the new offensive coordinator. He was the Green Bay's quarterbacks coach last year. I think he brings some innovation that the Bears haven't seen in a while. Pure volume play for me here, man.
That's fair. Let's hear what Goni has to say. I'm the median here, so I'll hear what Goni has to say here on the back end.
Personally, I just don't like the offense. It wasn't very good. It ranked 24th in the league last year. They had the 11th most rushing attempts. He did have a super high snap share, and I believe most of those snaps came out when he got hurt and Khalil Herbert took over for a little while. But the man had plenty of carries last year, and he didn't break 1,000 yards. He had 849 and 7 touchdowns. And really, man, when I was looking into the numbers, he's just not a very efficient running back. He gets all the work, but he's not efficient. His true yards per carry ranked 61st in the league, yards per touch 43rd, breakaway runs 27th. He was stuffed the 5th most times. And I mean, I really just don't believe in Justin Fields to keep the defense honest. And really, the offense isn't going to be very good as a whole. They replaced Allen Robinson with Byron Pringle. Not a good sign. You got Darnell Mooney, Equanimous St. Brown, Tajee Sharp, and they drafted Velus Jones. So you don't have a great group. I
hear you. I'm in the middle. He was on pace for the most rushing attempts of his career before the injury. He even with his injury, he finished an RB19, which is an RB2. I have him a little bit higher than what he finished last year because he didn't get a single receiving touchdown. I mean, that man didn't. He was purely volume on the ground, and like you said, there's not a lot of weapons on that team. Justin Fields is settling in. He's got another year under his belt. I feel like David Montgomery is definitely going to get a receiving touchdown this year. It's going to happen. He might even get 2. We might get crazy here. But my point is he was hurt last year for a few games. He still finished the RB19 with nothing on the receiving end. I think he gets a little bit something on the receiving end. I still think he stays a mediocre running back with volume to depend on. So that's kind of why I have him just a skosh higher as to what he finished last year.
Well, he was to expand on your point, Wayne. I agree, man. He's top 10 in receptions in the league last year.
Not a single receiving touchdown.
Right, and if you layer on a couple extra games there, you're telling me. I mean, just it's volume is king, Johnny.
I know, man, but he finished at 19th. He had the 9th most carries in the league. He gets all the opportunity. It's just the offense isn't good, and he's not efficient. That's why I couldn't get him as high as you. Obviously, I still have him in RB2 territory. I just don't have him knocking on the door of the RB1.
Yeah, we're not far off where,
No.
Yeah, but all right, number 16, where I'm far off. This is a controversial one. I tried. There are a few controversial ones that we are going to come across here, and I'm telling you, boys, we spent hours researching. And I just don't understand the hype of some of these players after looking at it. So number 16, our consensus 16, is Alvin Kamara. I have him at 20. You both have him at 15. First things first with Alvin Kamara. He's got contract issues. He's not happy, and that's strike number 1. The second, he's coming off the most rushing attempts of his career, but his fewest yards per carry. Also, it's the fewest targets of his career. When he's with Drew Brees, he's a receiving back. That's when he was a top 3 running back. You had to have him because Drew Brees passed him the ball nonstop. He's coming off the fewest targets of his career, but the most rushing attempts, so they're relying more on his legs, but he's not very good. He ranked 42nd in yards per rush. He needs the passing work. He's not going to barrel through defensive linemen. Jameis Winston doesn't check it down. He does not check the ball down. I checked. So Jameis played in a few games last year. Alvin Kamara played with several quarterbacks last year. The numbers didn't change. I mean, Jameis being in the game didn't make him any better. It didn't make him any worse, but it didn't make him any better. They're rushing him more, and he's being used less in the passing game. But that's his strength, is the passing game. He's a very mediocre running back based solely on his rushing, and that's why I have him closer to a back-end RB2 this year, contrary to very popular belief.
Yeah. My stats had him actually a little higher than where I ranked him. Look, he's not going to play a few games. I think he gets suspended because he hits women. So we hit the Mad Fans.
I'm not laughing at hitting women. I'm just laughing because These guys, just keep your hands to yourself, gentlemen.
I'm factoring in some sort of a suspension here. He lost Sean Payton. And
Huge.
he's at that 27-year-old wall, man. He's got 1,300 career touches, second only to Derrick Henry for running backs of his age. I think he's hitting the wall.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm factoring the suspension as well. He's almost guaranteed. There was 4 dudes involved in the altercation, and they're all facing a felony. Fading him big time this year. I think he underperforms his ADP, which is currently the 111. He's the RB6.
Crazy.
As Wayne said, I mean, the rushing attempts went up, the reception and receiving work went down, and that was his bread and butter for years, for absolute years. He had the number 1 target share among running backs last year at 20.2, but you have to absolutely guarantee that's going to come down when you have Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, and Chris Olave on the field, which none of them were there last year. They had a hodgepodge of wide receivers that obviously couldn't get it done. And, I mean, when he was trying to run the ball, he didn't have many breakaway runs. He wasn't explosive. He got stuffed a whole lot. His advanced metrics are just terrible. And personally, I mean, I just don't think he's a very good pure running back, as Wayne mentioned before. And if you're taking away the receiving work, then this man definitely falls.
Yeah. So Wayne Goney, there's absolutely a scenario where he's not an RB2, right? If it all goes bad for Alvin Kamara?
He is one of those guys that I could see falling out of that RB2 range. You're mad that you drafted him. That's why I need to
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get on mountaintops and scream, stop looking at these other rankings that have him so high, because he's going to let you down. People that
Agreed.
just look at rankings, I don't know where these guys are finding their rankings, but like when we go into the advanced metrics and we look at all the efficiency ratings based on what he's doing, he sucks. I mean, when he's not catching the ball, he sucks. There's no in between. He sucks, ladies and gentlemen, when he's not catching the ball and he's coming off his fewest targets of his career. Jameis Winston ain't going to toss him the ball. Jameis Winston is looking 20 yards downfield. And
with LASIK.
I agree.
with his new LASIK, with his new pupils. And like you said, losing Sean Payton's a big deal.
Big deal.
Big deal. I'm fading Alvin Kamara heavy. All right, gentlemen, this is my favorite one. It happened. There are a lot of running backs. There are a lot of rankings. Number 17, Mad Mob, Antonio Gibson. Where did I have Antonio Gibson ranked? 17. Where did Matthew Fagone have him ranked? 17.
17.
Where did one Christopher Desmond Begley have him ranked? 20. 17. Get it. The full
Never happen
consensus. 17. Antonio Gibson. Let's all not dive in and talk about him all at once. We'll take turns here. Goni.
Go ahead, Goni.
Goni, take the floor.
Hey, man, he finished as the RB12 last year. He averaged 14.3 points per game. He only missed 1 game, which was great considering all kinds of running backs missed plenty of games. The problem with him, though, that I've seen is the man needs volume. He had 7 games of 16-plus points. He also had 7 games with 7 points or less, and that can absolutely lose you a week for sure. He averaged 19.8 when he touched the ball at least 20 times a game. That was 7 times over the course of the season, and he averaged 9.2 points a game when he touched the ball less than 20 times. I mean, he's fighting it out with J.D. McKissick. J.D. came in and got a whole lot of the receiving work since he came in 2020. Last year, McKissick took 43 receptions on 53 targets. The year before, he had 80 receptions. And the backfield just got more crowded as Washington drafted Brian Robinson Jr. in the 3rd round. And Ron Rivera said that he wants them to act as a 1-2 punch, comparable to the tandem of Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams from his time in Carolina, which I really hate because I liked Gibson coming out of college. I have him in a dynasty league. He scored the most touchdowns as a rookie with 11 in his rookie season to finish as the RB13. And I have such high hopes, and it just looks like he's not going to get into that RB1 category.
Sad times.
Yeah, man, he kind of reminds me of when Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams split the backfield in Green Bay, right? Everybody's yelling for Aaron Jones to get more touches. Same for Antonio Gibson, man. Hyper efficient, but 57% snap share. Interesting fact, I think Carson Wentz actually kind of hurts his receiving work. Wentz was top 10 in passes over 40 yards last year, while Heineke was bottom 5 in passes over 20 and 40 yards, meaning he threw the ball short often last year. I think Wentz throws the ball downfield a little more, gets the receivers and the tight end involved a little bit. I think it hurts all running backs in Washington.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I mean, he finished as the worst RB1 you could be, but an RB1 nonetheless.
Yeah.
Brian Robinson Jr. is really what scares me here in going to that tandem because Antonio Gibson had 42 receptions, which bolstered him a lot. But like you said, I don't think Carson Wentz is going to do that too often. But the man ranked 3rd in the league in red zone rushing attempts. Is he going to be the D-Lo or is he going to be the Jonathan Stewart? I mean, if you're now splitting those red zone attempts with Brian Robinson Jr., what's he going to do? I can't put him any higher. Let's just call a spade here. If you're in an RBBC, you're not going to be an RB1. Period.
Yep,
especially when your coach comes out and says we are going to use everybody. I can't put him any higher. I'm glad you all feel literally exactly the same as I do.
I think the exception to the committee rule is Aaron Jones, right, Wayne?
I say an RBBC more. There's 3 of them. You got J.D. McKissick taking the targets, and then you got Brian Robinson Jr. now back there. Listen, hey,
Aaron Jones for MVP.
We'll get to Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon.
We got another one.
A.J. Dillon's later on, and I can't help but plug Aaron Jones in my argument for that one. Stay tuned for that. Begley just jumping the gun on us. Number 18. Oh, my gosh. I love this one. I can't wait for this one. Javonte Williams at 18. Goni's got him at 14. Begley's got him at 18. I got him all the way back at 23.
Let's talk about it, man.
Yeah.
Please
talk about it.
Please,
Who
let's talk about it.
Who wants the floor first?
I'll take it. Actually, do I want it first? Because I feel like I want to mush noses.
Mad Mob, I smell a dunk bet here. This has the makings of a dunk bet.
It 100% does. 100% does. I'll go first. Listen, he was number 15 in rush attempts last year. He finished as a running back 17 last year. Okay? I have him as 23, so I have him finishing a skosh worse than what he did last year. He was number 15 in rush attempts with just over 900 yards. He only ranked 20th in yards per rush and was number 24 in red zone attempts. Listen, hey everybody, Melvin Gordon is still suiting up for the Broncos. I don't understand why everybody's like, whenever everybody thought that Melvin Gordon was going, it was like Javonte Williams, RB1. And then Melvin Gordon was like, no, I'll be back in Denver. And everybody was like, I can't hear you. Javonte Williams, RB number 1. No, Melvin Gordon is still there. He's going to split that work down the middle. Number 24 in red zone attempts. Do you want to know why? Melvin Gordon. He was splitting them. 20th in yards per rush again, and number 15 in rushing attempts. Do you think, I get it, the Broncos are a rush-first defense, but do you think they might pass the ball just a little bit more now that they have a guy by the name of Russell Wilson, a Hall of Famer? They're going to pass the ball. The percentage of passing is going to go up. I'm not saying it's going to be drastically improved, but it's going to go up. Less rushing in Denver, still split down the middle between Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. I've got him going from an RB17 to an RB23. I have him not improving like you do, Goni, with more passing and still splitting down the middle.
That's fine. That's fine. I see your points. You're right. He finished as the RB17 last year. I have him moving a skosh up to 14, just 3 spots. I mean, he had over 200 carries. He split exactly at 203 with Melvin Gordon. I think that'll change this year. I think that it's going to be Javonte as the 1A to Gordon's 1B. It might not necessarily be a 60-40. I feel like it'll be a 55-45 split. He looked to be more involved in the rushing attack over the last 7 games of the season. He only averaged 10.3 carries a game over the first 10 weeks, and then he averaged 14 carries a game after the bye. So they integrated him more into the offense. They gave him more carries. And the man only scored 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns on the ground, 3 through the air. I definitely can see that number going up a few ticks, which will get him to where I have him at right now. And, I mean, he's hard to bring down, man. He was 6th in the league in evaded tackles, 8th in the league in juke rate, which is your evaded tackles per touch at 33% of the time. 6th in yards created. I mean, he's just good. He's just good. I feel like there's going to be more sustained drives there with Russell Wilson. Sure, they may pass the ball more, but I feel like the rushes overall won't go down. You're going from Drew Lock and Teddy B to Russell Wilson. How many drives died because Drew Lock and Teddy B are terrible? That's all I'm saying, man. I think more sustained drives, better offense, and they love to run the ball in Denver, man. They always have. They always will.
I can respect your argument. I can respect it. I think that the touchdowns that he's getting, he's not going to get more because he's still splitting it. What do you think, Beggs?
Yeah, man, I'm right in the middle. I agree with Goni in the sense that I do think the offense sees more total snaps. But I agree with Wayne that of those extra snaps, a higher percentage of those will be passes. This is a bottom 5 team in the league last year in pass attempts. I expect that to be more middle of the pack this year, at least with Russ. Do you pay Melvin Gordon $2.5 million on a 1-year deal to not give him at least 45% of the work? I mean, I can't get any lower than 45%, man.
It's pennies, bro. $2.5 million is pennies in the NFL.
Yeah, but you can get somebody for cheaper than that.
But why didn't they just let him go?
He knows the system, and he worked out very well last year.
He did.
Yes, he did. I agree.
Splitting the carries down the middle.
Yeah.
Javonte Williams, I'm fading on him hard. Goni's not.
I'll buy him up.
You all can do what you will with that one. Begley landed right in the middle. I'm fading him hard. Do we have a doink bet on this one? Can we?
We don't as of right now. Do you want to split the difference?
What's the difference here? There is a 9 difference. I say 19
is a push, right?
18.
So 18 and down?
18.5 is the median.
So I'll take 18 to 18 and better, and you'll take 19 and worse.
Yes. Yep.
Lock it in. Doink bet.
Done deal.
Doink bet. Fading Javonte heavy. Write it down in the notes, and we got a new system here. Whenever Begley's typing it into his notes, which he's doing right now.
Goni.
Did I say Begley?
Yeah, boy.
Sorry, I was about to bring Begley back into the fold there. While Goni is typing it into his phone notes, whoever the third party is in a doink bet is going to give us their take and who they think is going to win.
Man, Javonte's such an interesting case. I'm going to side, I think, with Goni here. Sorry, Wayne. And the reason I'm going to side with that is because I think Denver has a chance to be a daggone good offense, man. I think they can be explosive. So, giving Javonte an extra, 50 carries this year, 10 receptions, I think can push him up a little bit for me.
That's fair.
Sorry, Wayne.
No. I knew you were going against me. I mean, you do have him ranked 18th, and Goni's got 18 and down, so I expected it. But, I had to hear your take on it. You're the third party while he's writing it down. Are we locked into the notes, Goni?
We're locked in. Locked in, good sir.
Doink.
Best of luck to you. You're going to lose.
Many a doinks coming at the end of the year. Please make sure you follow, subscribe wherever you're at. The punishments are going to be fierce. We kind of I hate to interrupt here. We're at Javonte. We're at the halfway point. Okay, so this is a good time. Intermission, 7th inning stretch. I don't know if anybody in the Mad Mob has ever tried a birthday cake bang.
Don't.
Not a sponsor.
Don't.
Not a sponsor. If they came to me and they were like, we would love to sponsor your podcast, I would say as long as it's not specific to the birthday cake flavor, because it's terrible. I mean, you need to buy it and try it just to understand how terrible it is. Listen, everybody, bangs are like $2-3. I went to the store and the birthday cake flavor, $1 for a reason. I'm fading the birthday cake. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm thinking is going to be like a weekly doink punishment is you got to sit here and drink a birthday cake bang through the episode.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
yeah. Welcome to the show, boys. And we'll think of some spot. I get it. Oh, they're just drinking a drink. We'll figure something out. These are the weekly punishments. We obviously don't want to be raked over the coals every single week. Otherwise, we're gonna get nervous about these doink bets. We're gonna find something big at the end of the year. Whoever lost the most is they're gonna have to pay for it.
Got to pay for it, man. Maybe Bang will sponsor the barf bag.
Oh, bang! I love almost every other flavor, but what are you doing with that birthday cake? And I'm not telling them something they don't already know. That's why it's $1.
Fire sale, man.
All right, number 19, we got J.K. Dobbins. Me and Beggs we're pretty on par here. Me and Beggs got him at 21. Goni has him as 19. Goni, why are you off the beaten path on this one? Not by far.
Not by far. I mean, he missed the entire year last year with a torn ACL. He got before the season. The Ravens said that he might open camp on the PUP list, but it looks like he's probably going to be ready in time. I think they're confident in him because they haven't made any notable free agent running back additions
Or any
to the team in the meantime. So,
Whoa, hang on. Mike Davis doesn't worry you?
I said notable. I said notable, bro. Come on now. Mike Davis.
Mike who?
No, he's going to suit up week 1. Mike who? I mean, he finished his rookie year as the RB23. That's really the only data that we have to go off of. He had 134 carries for 800 yards, 9 touchdowns. The man had 6 yards per carry. I mean, this is an excellent rushing attack. All caps. They had the 3rd best rushing attack last year with guys like Latavius Murray, Le'Veon Bell, Devonta Freeman, and Tyson Williams, who was actually pretty good, but they just refused to give him the ball. They're like, nah, you're too young. We're only taking the old guys here. We're going to make this work somehow. And, I mean, just the Ravens' style of play and their lack of pass catchers gives me confidence that Dobbins is going to have a pretty good fantasy year, man.
Yeah, I'll piggyback. He was number 3 in yards per rush at 6, like you said. He's number 1 in true yards per carry, which again is you eliminate all rushes 11 yards and up. So he's number 1 in yards per carry within first down territory.
Consistent.
He is very consistent. He is coming off a torn ACL, but he had 9 rushing touchdowns. I mean, he finishes up there with no receiving work. What he had, I think he had under 20 targets. Not even receptions, like under 20 targets. Yeah. So he finishes up there based solely on his opportunities and his talent.
Yeah, 2 things limit him, man. Lamar and Gus Edwards. In that 2020 year, Gus Edwards has 723 rushing yards to JK's 805. And I know JK came on late, but Gus is under contract. They're going to use him. And Mike Davis.
Mike Davis will take the receiving work. I feel like he's not going to have any. He's not going to improve on the receiving work. But if I hear you talk about Mike Davis like he's
Davis.
Like he's Barry Sanders 2.0,
bro, they got Mike Davis.
What did he say about Mike Davis before? Notable free agency pickups, Mike Davis.
Yeah. I said notable. That's why I didn't mention him at all. So
come on, man.
I mean, even the receiving work, though, I don't care who you are. If you're playing on the Ravens, Lamar's not going to throw you the ball with any kind of consistency.
No.
Goni, you ready to crack your knuckles?
What you got?
Crack your knuckles and really sock and boppers. Number 20, Saquon Barkley.
Oh,
I faded him heavy at 25. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Not even an RB2. Goni had him at 21, a back-end RB2, and Begley had him at 20. Saquon Barkley. And this is not a CMC situation where he gets injured a lot, but, the talent's there and all that. Goni, take us. Let's go to the advanced metrics here and let the people know about Saquon's talent.
Let me just first start off by this man. We all know he missed games last year. He missed 3 last year. He missed 15 the year before. He missed 3 more the year before that. This man, in my opinion, might be the top 5 most hated fantasy players in the game today because he's burned people year after year after year, myself included. He got me in 2019 and 2020. Last year, nah. Said I had enough. I'm good. I mean, he had 162 carries last year for 593 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3.6 yards per carry. That's gross, man. His team ranks 31st in offense. They're absolutely garbage. His O-line is trash. His quarterback is trash. The ligaments that hold his gigantic legs together are trash. Like, they're just not good. There's zero parts of this at all. All right, they chose an offensive lineman in this year's draft. They'll be choosing a new quarterback next year when they have their top 5 pick. All the magic and good feelings that fantasy players had after his rookie season, they're gone. If you had him in a dynasty and you traded him last year or the year before, great job, because you got the best value you might ever see from him again.
Good on you, mate.
I mean, if not, sorry, man, you've got a turd. Even worse, you have a turd with a big name, which is about as bad as it gets because you're going to play him every game and be disappointed.
Every game. Listen, I'm gonna throw out some names for you. Some you'll recognize, some you might not. Devontae Booker, Elijah Penny, and Gary Brightwell. Those are the other running backs on the Giants depth chart. And guess what? All of them averaged more yards per rush than Saquon Barkley. All of them. Saquon Barkley averages the worst yards per carry on that entire Giants crap roster. And you're talking about Danny Dimes here. For some reason, they're all in on Daniel Jones this year. It's a prove-it year for him. The coach came out. He's on record saying he's setting Daniel Jones loose and wants him to, quote, throw the ball without hesitation next year. Wait a second. That mean? You want Daniel Jones to start throwing more? I thought Saquon Barkley was going to be like top tier. Why wouldn't you rush the ball more? That's like Indianapolis last year saying, listen, we want Carson Wentz to throw the ball without hesitation. No, if you trust your running back at all, then you're going to give it to him. The fact that you're saying we're not going to run the ball, we're going to let Daniel Jones just sling it a lot over that shows that the Giants don't have faith in Saquon. And they're going to defend more. They're going to depend more on the pass in a terrible passing offense with a terrible quarterback with no weapons. That whole offense is just a dumpster fire. And Saquon Barkley he was the one that put the kindling in it.
Yeah. One thing saves Saquon in my model from falling all the way down to 32, and that's his propensity to get targets in the passing game. He's involved. I mean, even this year last year, he got 57 targets in the passing game, which, if I'm not mistaken, is top 10 in running backs. I'd just be let's say top 15 there. Yeah, a few healthy games. I mean, there's a chance, right, guys? There's a chance he gets top 20.
I mean, I had him ranked at 21, and the only reason why I have him this high is because he still showed flashes at times. He's an explosive athlete whenever his legs are holding together. I mean, he's a great athlete. In the perfect world, it probably could happen, and I'm still going on the potential. I wouldn't draft him. This is why people draft him every year, is the potential of his rookie year. Saquon, I have nothing against you as the man, the human being, you're the worst for fantasy, and I'll never have you again.
All right, let me ask you guys a question here. If Saquon is your starting flex spot, are you happy with that?
It depends who else is on the bench. I mean, I'm not.
If he is your best player for flex,
that means you would probably. I mean, his ADP right now is the 211, which is RB12, and there's no way I'm taking him in the second round.
Don't do it, Mad Mob. Don't do it, please. Do not do it. If he's your RB1, you are not nobody's
You're
scared of
hurting.
you. You're not going anywhere near the fantasy championship this year. If he is, if you have a terrible RB1 and he's your RB2, you're not doing anything this year. Please just fade Saquon this year. If he's in your flex, then your roster should be pretty solid because we have him as an RB2. So if he's out of your RB, if you have a better RB2 and he's in your flex, then your roster makeup is obviously pretty good. So to answer your question, if he's in your flex, then you did pretty good with your RB1 and 2, and I think you have a good shot at winning it. But if you're depending on Saquon as an RB1, you just thank you for donating your money to the fantasy pot.
I mean, look at it this way, though. With him being the 211, here's a better question for you guys. Would you consider taking him at the turn there? Because it'd be the first overall pick. It'd go through. It'd come back. Would you take him with the last pick of the second or first of the third? That would essentially put him in that flex range.
Don't ask me that.
I would
consider
if it was snaking around, I had the last. So I had the first overall pick.
Yeah, you'd have the first overall pick.
So I got JT, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in.
Looking at JT, Mike Evans, Saquon trio. How do you feel about that?
What's Gibson's ADP?
Gibson's ADP right now is the 309 as the running back 16.
I'm not hating Jonathan Taylor, Gibson, and Saquon in the flex.
I'm still a major no. I'm finding whoever else is better there just because of the. Yeah, I've been burned plenty of times.
Third degrees from Saquon.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have the worst luck in fantasy pick draws, so I never got those number 1, number 2 picks to get burned. So that's what you get, Goni, for good luck in the fantasy draw. So Saquon never got to see my team, and which is why do I dislike him so much?
Because he's not
good.
He hasn't burned me. He hasn't burned me. All right. Whoa. Do we need to let some heart rates drop for a second?
We're good.
All right.
We're good, man.
I got it out, man.
We don't need a couple woo saws. All right. We have in the 21 spot, and this is my fault. Apparently, I buoyed him all the way up here. 21 spot, Elijah Mitchell. I had him at 18. Goni at 25. Begley at 24. Listen, guys. He played 11 games last year. Missed 6 games. In those 11 games, he had over 200 attempts and 5 touchdowns, just under 1,000 yards rushing, and he was on pace to be an RB1. He finished top 10 in rushing yards while missing 6 games. The only bad thing I have to say about him is the team he's on and their revolving door of running backs that they trust, but they obviously showed that they don't trust Trey Sermon. He didn't really do a lot last year, even when he was healthy. I feel like a healthy Elijah Mitchell, they're going to depend on. He's going to continue to get the work that he was getting last year because he was definitely the best running back on their roster. If he is healthy this year, I think he could be a top-end RB2, let alone all the way back at where we have him at 21.
Man, I don't love him. As he got that increased volume last year, you saw the injuries start to kind of rack up toward the end of the year. He's 5'10", 200 pounds, not an overly, built player. His last 2 games of the year, week 16 and week 17, he finished with a 58 and 53% snap share. I think the Niners realize this is not a workhorse every down back. That's why they drafted TDP in the 3rd round. I think Elijah Mitchell's volume gets cut this year. This is a full committee.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about Elijah Mitchell. I mean, Shanahan runs a good offense there. They're going to have a great rushing attack, but you don't ever have like a workhorse back for the most part that, is just amazing. They have so many guys. They have Elijah Mitchell, as Beggs just said. They drafted Tyrion Davis-Price in the 3rd round. They have Jeff Wilson. They have Trey Sermon. They have JaMychal Hasty. And, I mean, little known stat for you is that the 49ers the last 6 years in a row have had a different running back lead their team in rushing yards. I mean, does the trend continue? It may not. Trey Sermon might come back from the dead and lead the team in rushing yards this year. More than likely not. Not going to happen. That's fine. But I mean, this rookie this year can come out of nowhere and get it. Plus, everyone gets hurt there. They carry 1,000 running backs because they need 1,000 running backs.
That is the only thing I will give you is the only reason they start so many running backs so often is I don't know what's in the water in San Francisco, but it's like it makes their running backs just turn to dust. So that's the only reason I'd fade Elijah Mitchell is that I'm not worried about our BBC there because I feel like when he is healthy, he is their guy, and that showed last year. He was their clear-cut guy. It's just, can he stay healthy? That's the only reason I'd fade him.
Fair enough.
Number 22. A guy that I disrespect a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I looking back, I ranked him a little bit lower. I still don't think he's an RB2, but I don't have him as bad as I'm about to tell you. Number 22 is Damian Harris. I ranked him at 30. I disrespected him a little bit there. I'm not gonna lie. Goney has him at 20. Begley has him at 19. I'll explain myself on this one. It's an age-old fantasy law that I live by. Confucius says never draft a Patriots skill player to your fantasy team. And it goes here. Listen, he's extremely touchdown dependent. He finished second in rushing touchdowns last year behind Jonathan Taylor. Is he going to do that again? No. I mean, he gets pretty good volume at 202 attempts last year, but he's non-existent in the receiving game. I mean, he does absolutely nothing in the receiving game. So he's got pretty good rushing attempts, no receiving, entirely touchdown dependent. I don't like touchdown dependent running backs, especially in a Patriots offense. I'm fading him outside of the RB2 because without those touchdowns, he's not an RB2. He finished 14 last year. He finished a RB2 with being number 2 in rushing touchdowns. I just don't think he does it again this year.
Yeah, I mean, and Goney, I'll let you speak more to this than I will, but I agree with all those points, Wayne. Just when you look at his numbers, he had a good year, man. I mean, just shy of 1,000 yards. Missed 2 games last year. So, from a statistical perspective, I got to respect him. Do I feel good if he's my RB2? No, I don't.
I mean,
Homer.
Guys, he finished. I mean, yeah, but I believe me, I live and die by the Patriots skill positions. You don't draft them. They're dangerous in fantasy, and they're always wildly inconsistent. Someone will go off one game, and then you'll never hear from them again. But yeah, Damian Harris, man, he finished as a high-end RB2, finishing as the RB14 last year. That 929 yards that he got was good for 10th in the league. The man had 4.6 yards per carry, which is pretty good. I mean, the Patriots are a run-first offense, man. They're going to continue to do that with a lack of productive pass catchers, and they want to set Mac Jones up with favorable third down situations. I mean, the guy's still developing. He had a pretty good year last year being a rookie. They're going to utilize their 2 tight end sets. They paid Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry a lot of money to be there. Going to have those guys block. Going to have them, go out for passes as well. And, I mean, last year he was susceptible to being game scripted out of games because the Patriots don't have a great offense, and he's not going to be on the field if they're down big. I mean, he only got 20 targets last year. He's not on the field when they're passing the ball. When they get to the goal line, they're looking to run it in. He got 11 goal line carries last year. I mean, I agree that the 15 is going to come down, but I think that a back-end RB2 is definitely in the realm of possibilities for him this year.
Yeah, based solely on volume. I feel like Bill Belichick just I feel like he side eyes ADPs and fantasy rankings just to screw us over. That's neither here nor there. All right. 23, we got A.J. Dillon. It's a guy that I faded at 29. Goni had him at 28. And Begley's buying him at 22. Begley, what's going on
man.
with A.J. Dillon?
Man, give me all the A.J. Dillon. I think, as you alluded to in your Aaron Jones discussions on our last show,
Aaron Jones MVP.
Packers have got to lean on these running backs. They need production from A.J. Dillon. Last year Packers were the lowest in the league at running 21 personnel, which is 2 backs, 1 tight ends. Only 2% of their total snaps. Matt LaFleur has gone on record saying that's going to increase this year to at least league average. I see A.J. Dillon's snaps going up this year. I see his touchdowns going up this year. And I see him out-carrying Aaron Jones this year in the running game.
What?
I do. I think Aaron Jones is the pass catcher, man. I think he
did it last year.
Yeah.
A.J. Dillon out-carried him last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I expect that to continue.
I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to add on it. I don't really love A.J. Dillon this year. I do think that he could split the backfield 50-50. I think Matt LaFleur was actually talking about that. He had more carries, yards, and rushing touchdowns than Aaron Jones did. The man's huge. He's 6 foot tall and 247 pounds. He's an absolute beast. When it gets cold there in Green Bay, he's going to be absolutely trucking through guys. He's going to be the goal line back. I understand that, but he's going to offer nothing as far as the receiving game goes. And I don't know, man. I just like a few guys more than him, and I really don't think he's going to break into the RB2 conversation.
Wayne, let me jump in here really quick. 37 targets in the passing game last year. Caught 34. Hyper efficient. 34 receptions puts him in the bottom 25%, but it's more than what people think. You don't think he gets to say 45 targets, 40 receptions this year at least?
Nah, man. I think he's the Thunder and Jones is the Lightning. I think it's like Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw back in the day with the Giants. I just think he's going to be there to run the ball, and Aaron Jones is going to get his few carries here and there, but he's gonna catch. Okay. That's just me.
I think A.J. Dillon is a little more involved in the passing game than people give him credit for.
I don't think he is. Listen, here's all I know about A.J. Dillon. He played in 2 more games than Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones averaged more rushing attempts per game at 11.4. Not one by much, but Aaron Jones was rushing the ball more than A.J. Dillon when they were both in the game. Aaron Jones gets more yards per carry, indicating he is a better running back. He gets almost double the targets. Listen, A.J. Dillon averaged 2.2 targets a game. He is not siphoning anything through the air from Aaron Jones. And Aaron Jones is still averaging more rush attempts per game and getting more rush yards per carry. He's better in every facet. And so I'm trying. I need to back up a little bit, like I'm arguing for Aaron Jones to be a top 3 running back again. But that's just where I'm at with A.J. Dillon. I feel like Aaron Jones is by far the clear-cut number 1 rusher and receiver in that backfield, and that's going to hurt A.J. Dillon. That's A.J. Dillon in your flex is not a bad flex play, but I'm not happy if he's in my RB2 slot.
Listen, I'm gonna make a bold claim. I think Green Bay can carry 2,000-yard rushers this year. Aaron Jones. Look, last year Aaron Jones finished just shy of 800 yards at 799. A.J. Dillon was at 803. It's looking at 400 extra yards on the ground. You're telling me that's unreasonable here, boys?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Listen. I'm with Aaron Rodgers on this one, man. I'm with him. I think there's a chance 2,000-yard rushers.
You're with Aaron Rodgers on this, but you're saying
I
that
am.
he's just gonna hand the ball off.
I'm with Aaron Rodgers in that I don't think the Packers throw in the towel. I think they're competitive, and I think they win the division this year.
Okay. Yeah, their division is pretty terrible. Now that I
Yeah.
think about it, I kind of jumped back a little bit when you said that, but then I remembered their division and I realized that it's possible.
Yeah, I mean,
The Vikings are in that division.
the Vikings.
Yeah.
But look, man. I mean, I don't think Christian Watson does it, man. Who is catching passes in Green Bay?
Nobody.
Who is
Aaron
taking-
Jones.
Bro,
who's
he's gonna make it
taking
work. It's
target
gonna be
share?
it's gonna be Christian Watson one game. It's gonna be Randall Cobb another game. It's
The
gonna
Aaron
be
combo. That's what's gonna make it work.
Yeah, dude.
We're gonna sing the tune of Aaron, and I'm gonna sing the tune of Doink and Goney. I can't wait for it. Okay, so for 24, we actually don't have like a 24, 25, 26 because it all kind of averaged out to the middle. We have 3 24s. All of us have somebody ranked higher than the other one, so we're all just going to kind of explain our reasoning with why we wanted them at the RB2 instead of the other two. Melvin Gordon, I faded him at 31 for the same reason that I got Javonte up there. At 23, it's hard to have two running backs that close. Goney, you had him at 26. Begley, tell us why Melvin Gordon's going to be the 23.
selling bags. Why should he be the number 24 pick, the RB2 to close it out?
Why should you be happy having Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon on your team?
Look, Melvin Gordon was RB22 last year. Okay, splitting carries perfectly down the middle last year with Javonte.
Mm-hmm.
He had more rushing yards than Javonte last year. He had 918 yards on the same amount of carries as Javonte. His passing work did pale in comparison, but I do think the touchdown distribution is spread a little more equally amongst the backs. I think that he gets a few more touchdowns this year. I do think the offense is more explosive. Like I said, you don't pay him $2.5 million to not use him.
All I heard was fade Javonte.
To me, this is a very similar play to last year, except I think the passing goes a little up in Denver. I don't think they had to rely on the running game as much.
All right, that's
fair.
All right, so Begley had Melvin Gordon. Now for the T-24 Cirque Dagoni, we've got Cam Akers. I had him at 26, just outside RB2 range. Goney had him at 22, and Begley had him all the way back at 32. Why do you got Cam Akers in there?
All right, so for Cam Akers, the reason why you should draft him as your final RB2 spot, we all have the same fears. He missed almost the entire season with a torn Achilles. He came back for Week 18 way ahead of schedule. He played terribly throughout the playoffs. I get it. He averaged 2.6 yards per carry. Didn't look explosive.
Are you arguing for or against, man?
I'm doing for. I'm doing for. I'm just telling you all the cons beforehand, and then I'm going to let you know. Beggs mentioned on a previous
pharmacy like bad side effects.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a whole bunch of them, man. Beggs mentioned on a previous episode that no running back had ever run for over 1,000 yards after a torn Achilles. I mean, the guy's young. He's only 22 years old. I'm willing to bet that all those other guys were older than he was, or that he is now. They ranked 9th in offense last year, the Rams did, 23rd in rush attempts. Darrell Henderson was okay for the Rams when Akers went down, but McVay loves Akers, and he couldn't wait to get back to him. He loaded him with carries throughout the playoffs. In the Super Bowl, Henderson only got 4 carries to Akers' 13. I mean, he's going to be ready to go when the season rolls around. They have a great offense. He's going to be the RB1, RB1A for their team. So, I mean, give me the running back with the great offense. I'm willing to take a shot on him.
Wow. You're asking Cam Akers to do something that has never been done before, ever, in the history of the NFL. Not going to happen.
I mean, he doesn't necessarily to get to the RB24. he doesn't need to break 1,000 yards. If he gets himself, 7, 8 touchdowns, about 800 yards on the ground, and maybe 30, 40 receptions, he gets there.
Is that it? That's all you're asking of him? Okay.
It's not a big ask.
Go on. All right. He has no flexion in his foot, man. He's running with a club foot.
McVay loves him. Gonna feed him.
Fun fact: if you tear your Achilles, what is it? It's like before the age of 30 or something like that. It actually grows back stronger, thicker. Yeah, Google that. That's facts.
We'll see, man.
Not
gonna happen.
Up last is little old me, giving you all your last RB2. Burned a few people last year. I have Travis Etienne at 22. Goney had him at 24. And Begley really screwed this by pulling him all the way back to 34. So if you're just listening and not watching, he's gonna give himself whiplash from shaking his head back and forth. He's obviously coming off an injury. It's not a incredibly serious injury. It was season-ending, obviously, but it's not like a ACL or Achilles or anything like that. We know he's going to be the workhorse in Jacksonville. It's not an RBBC there. He's going to be the guy in Jacksonville running the ball. Trevor Lawrence, another year in the offense. He's going to get a little bit better. But my biggest thing is the Jaguars – won the draft. I mean, they really beefed up their defense, which will hopefully keep them in games. But they also spent a third rounder on Luke Fortner, a center, to beef up their offensive line, and got Brandon Scherf in free agency to beef up that offensive line even more. So we obviously don't have anything from an NFL perspective to go off of for ETN, but I know that he's going to get volume. Volume is king. And they beefed up their offensive line. For me, that's good enough to be your last RB2.
Man, I'm going to give you a fact along the same lines of Goni. There are only two players who have had a Liz Frank injury and came back and had a better year than the previous year. That's Julio Jones, who is an absolute alien, and Brian Westbrook,
who is not.
Le'Veon Bell, MJD, Santonio Holmes, Cedric Benson, Ronnie Brown, Darren McFadden, Ted Ginn Jr. are all players with that injury who have suffered serious setbacks and declines in their career after this injury.
But I would take Le'Veon Bell off that list because I would be curious as to when he had it, and I would almost guarantee it was after Pittsburgh.
Le'Veon Bell suffered it in 2013. Now, he was actually a little bit of a unique case because he had a minor injury to his Liz Frank in 2013.
Mad Mob, I'm refuting everything he just said about that injury. He just named off a bunch of poop turds players that got that injury in the latter half of their career, and they were dropping off regardless of whether they had that injury or not. But trust me, Travis Etienne being your RB2, you're happy. You're happy with him. He's going to be a workhorse. They upgraded the offensive line. Trevor Lawrence is hopefully not going to be a bag of turds this year. I'm wholeheartedly disagreeing with Begley here. And there's a lot of times that I have a very strong difference of opinion, but I can respect the argument. I don't like that one, man. I don't like that argument.
You guys put a lot of faith in Dr. Andrews, man, to repair all these tendons.
Hey, man, though, James Robinson, he suffered a torn Achilles, and it's not looking like he's going to be ready to go until training camp. So, I mean, if he has any setbacks and he misses time during the season to start the year, ETN could easily seize the role as the primary running back for good. And, I mean, I think Jacksonville is going to be down. They still have plenty of work to do on the team. I think they're going to be down in plenty of games, forcing them to throw. ETN has great receiving skills, excellent receiving skills, and he played with Trevor Lawrence in college. That only bodes well for him catching passes out of the backfield, and I think that's where the majority of his value comes this year.
Do you want a doink bet? Do you want this? Do you want this, man? Do you want to doink bet it?
I do want to.
Do you want this smoke?
I'm gonna give Goni a counterpoint, and then we'll touch the ledger. We don't know if he's a good receiver, Goni, because a Liz Frank injury took him out for the year, and he has a very serious Liz Frank tear.
Was he good in college? Was he excellent in college?
He was a 4-year player in college.
Yeah, but he had excellent receiving skills.
They do not project well to the NFL, and you know that.
I mean, dude, it's not hard to run a little wheel route on the outside or anything. You're starting next to the quarterback. You just got to give you one of these. One of those.
It is hard.
Perks watching on YouTube, boys. You could have seen what one of those was. It was a flick of the wrist.
Yeah.
It is hard to run one of those when your tendon has been ruined.
Did he get his tendon surgically repaired, or did they amputate his foot? I'm confused.
What's the doink bet here? Top 25 for ETN?
We're splitting the difference. So
just like the rest.
It would be 20. I get 27 and down. You get 28 and up.
Oh, lock it in, please.
Lock it in.
27 and down versus 28 and up.
Yes. He will not make history, boys.
A double doink bet episode, and I'm in both of them, and I feel phenomenal about both of them.
I can't wait. I'm gonna sleep great tonight.
Oh my gosh!
I hope you enjoy your birthday cake serum.
No, this is a seasonal one. This is going to the seasonal ledger. And we Mad Mob, you let us know what you want the seasonal loser to do, because we are taking suggestions. We don't have any idea yet. So that is
once more. Tell me the bet one more time.
I have ETN finishing 27 or better.
Hilarious.
Begley 28th or worse.
Logical.
Okay. Oh my gosh! All right. While he's typing that in, Mad Mob, that is the end of our list. We've got notepads out. 13 overall for running backs. We've got Josh Jacobs, 14. James Conner, 15. David Montgomery, 16. Alvin Kamara, 17. Antonio Gibson, 18. Javonte Williams, 19. J.K. Dobbins, 20. Saquon Barkley, 21. Elijah Mitchell, 22. Damian Harris, 23. A.J. Dillon, T-24, numero 1, Melvin Gordon, per Begley, T-24B, Travis Etienne, per me, T-24, Cam Akers, Goni. Those are your RB2s. If you have any of those guys as your RB2, aside from Melvin Gordon, you are doing pretty good. All right, guys, we are coming to the end where we do one of my new favorite segments, which is where we take questions. I've got 3 again this week. This one was – all 3 of these were from Reddit again, right, Beggs?
Yeah, that's right.
Or Reddit guy, all right. Our first one, we've got the Farmer in the Dell, 69. Okay, yeah. Farmer the Dell, 69, 360 no-scope, 420 just blaze. He is in a 12-team half-point PPR league. He is getting Javonte Williams, Jerry Jeudy, and a 2024 first for Justin Jefferson. He's getting Javonte Williams, Jerry Jeudy, 2024 first, giving away Jay Jetta. Goni.
I mean, people might think I'm a little crazy on it, but I would actually trade Justin Jefferson away for that. And a half-point PPR, I mean, you're bringing in Javonte Williams. I think he can be the stud next year when Melvin Gordon's gone. Jerry Jeudy, he's looking like he might reach the potential we've all waited to see since he was drafted by getting a real quarterback in Russell Wilson. You get a first-round pick out of it. For Justin Jefferson, man, you have Kirk Cousins this year, and then after it's unknown. They might re-sign him. He's making a ton of money. I don't know if they bring him back for more than what he's getting paid now. And it's just unknown. So, I mean, he could fall from one of the best, like DK Metcalf was a couple of years as one of the top dynasty wide receivers, down into, out of the top 10. So that's where I'm going.
Beggs?
Yeah, I totally agree, man. The half-point PPR seals it for me. I'm also high on Jerry Jeudy, as long as he stops domestically violating people. I'm high on Jerry Judy, man. I think he's a stud.
Yeah, I'm. We didn't know if this was a dynasty or not.
Dynasty. It was a
It was
dynasty.
a dynasty. I'm taking
Yeah.
Javonte Williams because when Melvin Gordon is not there, Javonte Williams is going to be a clear-cut RB1. Jerry
Yes.
Judy, if he can get his name cleared, he's going to be great. In a 2024 first, you don't know what that's going to be. I mean, that could be a Najee Harris. I mean, we don't know. The fact that it's a first-round pick is enticing enough. But yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson and a half-point PPR is obviously going to be solid. But if the points that you're gaining going from whoever you got as your RB2 now to Javonte Williams and whoever you got, and going from Justin Jefferson down to Jerry Judy, this year you might take a little hit, but after this year and for the next 5-6 years, you're winning that trade 100%.
Yeah.
All right, next we got. Are these all dynasty leagues? It doesn't say.
All done.
All dynasties.
Yeah.
Okay. We got username X underscore happy underscore X. Team A has Hawkinson, Fields, and Gabe Davis. Team B has Freiermuth, Amon-Ra, and Stafford. Which team is better?
Let me go first because I differ from you guys on this one. Sorry, X Happy X. You don't get a clear answer on this one. The big difference for me here is Stafford and Amon-Ra compared to Fields and Gabe Davis. Hawk is better than Freiermuth. I do think Freiermuth has a chance to be a top 10 tight end this year. As we all know, tight ends generally get a lot better after their rookie year, and he did come in strong last year. I'm fading Gabe Davis this year. I don't like him as a top 24 receiver. I think that's his ceiling. I think he's more of a deep flex play this year. Amon-Ra is a guy for me who could be a low-end wide receiver too. I do think his volume takes a slight dip, but not enough to be noticeable. But Stafford over Fields for me all day, man. All day. To me, this is a net positive now and in the future.
So we got one vote for Team B. Goni.
Team A. I'm definitely taking Team A on that. I mean, you failed to mention the importance of getting someone of Hawkinson's stature. Tight ends are very hard to come by. All tight ends are terrible for the most part. You've got a handful. 5, I'd say he's probably the number 5 tight end right now as far as dynasty goes.
Easily.
They're just so hard to come by, man. And he gets 100,000 targets a game. When he was healthy last year, Amon-Ra didn't see anything. I mean, Hawkinson and Swift got the majority of it, and Amon-Ra didn't get much. When the injuries started happening, Amon-Ra shot up to 11 targets a game. I think he averaged about 90 yards as well. He scored himself a bunch of touchdowns. He was a hero. Wayne and I rode that man to a championship last year.
And then what we do with
him in the rookie draft. Yeah, he was phenomenal. But, I mean, Hawkinson is great. I am on the other end of the spectrum. I planted my flag on Gabe Davis last year off the waivers, stashed him on a taxi with Wayne as well. We did that. And I think he's going to be good, man. Emmanuel Sanders is gone. Cole Beasley's gone. You have Stephon Diggs, and then it's going to be Gabe Davis. Josh Allen throws the ball like crazy. I just love it for those two alone. Justin Fields, we're going to see what happens. You even said before, it's a Matt Nagy-less offense, can only get better. And, I mean, he's a mobile quarterback. So he can put up some numbers with the legs as well. So I'm Team A.
Yeah, luckily there's 3 of us, so we can give you a majority happy. Resounding Team A. Hawkinson, like he said, is an absolute beast. Freiermuth is not, and he got a new quarterback this year in Mitch Trubisky. Are we happy about that? Listen, Amon-Ra's got Jared Goff, which I said it last week or last episode. I don't think Jared Goff is garbage, but he's definitely not great. But what I do know is Amon-Ra is a lot worse with DeAndre Swift healthy. And they drafted Jameson Williams to take more of that passing work. Amon-Ra is like, he just dropped. And that's me and Goni. when we rode Amon-Ra to that championship, and then in the offseason, we traded him because he's just not going to be that good next year. So obviously you're losing. Stafford's better than Fields. I mean, I don't think we even have to argue that. But I feel like Hawkinson is so much better than Freiermuth, and Gabe Davis. If he even does a little bit of what he did towards the end of last year, he's going to be better than Amon-Ra because Amon-Ra is now WR2, 3, and Hawkinson's a better option. DeAndre Swift is a better option, so he's going to go down. Everybody needs to sell him high right now. So I'm Team A on this one.
Man, I mean, Justin Fields, quarterback 31 last year. I know he was injured a little bit, and Andy Dalton stole some snaps. There's such a big gap between Stafford and Fields. To me,
I mean, he was a rookie too. That, you know.
Yeah, but like you said, I mean, you say his legs make up the difference. They didn't. They didn't. His rushing played no. It was look, man. Amon-Ra's a talent. He showed it. I don't disagree with you guys. There's regression in the receptions there, especially with Chark and Jameson and Hawk healthy. Hawk's only been healthy 1 year out of 3 in his NFL career. Okay, Amon-Ra is a volume monster. He's the only guy on that team with his skill set. Jameson Williams and Chark are downfield guys. I like Amon-Ra. I like Stafford, and I think Freiermuth has potential to narrow the gap between him and Hawk.
Hey, man, I in no way compared Justin Fields to Matt Stafford. All right, I'm just saying he has upside. He has upside for sure. With Amon-Ra, man, there's only one ball. We only play football with one ball. And, I mean, Hawkinson's going to get his. Swift is going to get his. They brought in DJ Chark, and they traded up to draft a first-round wide receiver. The volume will not be there the same way, man.
I'm taking the receiver on the high-powered Josh Allen offense over the receiver on the low-powered Minnie Mouths Lions.
Listen, one more point here. I know we got to move on, but listen, we got to talk about this a little bit more. Amon-Ra's done it. Gabe Davis has not done it yet. You're projecting Gabe Davis, which I understand. I'm taking the guy who's done it. And are you okay? You're saying both of you guys are okay with trotting out Justin Fields as your quarterback this year in fantasy?
Stafford is the better quarterback of the two, but Hawkinson is way better than Freiermuth, and Gabe Davis is going to be way better than Amon-Ra.
Okay. All things equal.
It's a package deal, man.
Sure, but okay. Let's say those are the only 3 players you're playing every week in fantasy, right? Let's say you're just playing those 3 players. You're telling me
Team A wins.
Fields, Gabe Davis, and Hawk outscore those 3 this year?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Gunny, you agree with that?
Over Freiermuth, Amon-Ra, yeah. I mean, Stafford's going to buoy them. Stafford's going to buoy them for sure. But, dude, I think Amon-Ra, like I said, he averaged 11 targets while they were hurt. That's going to drop down to like 6, maybe 7. Yeah, so they still have a bad offense.
Happy majority team.
Good luck, Happy. Best of luck to you, buddy.
Happy we're 3-0 last year against Begley in fantasy. All right.
Champs.
Username, Transplant83. Ooh, this one's kind of spicy, boys. He's giving Saquon the 2.01 and a 23rd first for Najee Harris. Begley, you love you some Najee. Let me hear you.
I'm taking Najee here, honestly, and I wouldn't think twice about it, man. Saquon's my 20, and I honestly think his floor is a lot lower than that. I don't really value the 2.01 this year. That's Dameon Pierce, David Bell, maybe George Pickens if you get lucky kind of range. I'm not super high on any of those guys. And first-round draft picks in 2023 is nice. You didn't really tell us if it was going to be mid, high, or low. Let's just assume a mid. It's a little bit of roll the dice. Give me the bell cow back, Najee Bear, not Najee Harris.
I thought you had.
What is a Najee Bear?
I thought you had like a little day name for my little. Yeah. Give me my little Najee Bear. Goni?
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna have to go Najee as well. Do you boys see anywhere in the range of possibilities that Saquon can approach RB1 this year or ever again?
No.
He's going to have to get 100 targets through the air, man.
Yeah, he's going to have to absolutely get 1,000,000. And I mean, I just don't see it. Najee, plus Saquon's 25. So, I mean, if he's already not performing for you now, just give that 3 more years on your roster, which I tend to like to look at Dynasty through a 3-year window when I'm gauging my guys. And, running backs have a short shelf life. Najee's 24 years old, I believe. And, I mean, he's a bell cow. He's a workhorse. He's going to volume his way to an RB1. And, I mean, it's just hard to say no to it.
Listen, Transplant, you know how we feel about Saquon. I agree with Begley. The 2.01 is going to be a dart throw. And your 23rd, I like the 23rd, the class of 2023, but you just don't. You don't know, but you know what you're getting with Najee. You know you're getting a workhorse. I definitely would take the surefire RB. I have him at 13, so technically an RB2, but he was, consensus RB1. I would definitely take that surefire. Get rid of Saquon, sell him while you still can, and not really worry about the picks. I mean, Najee Harris for sure. So we are all in consensus that you do need to do that trade for sure. All right, Goni, it looks like we lost Begley. The iPad died. I wish, if you were on Spotify, at least, I know this was a long episode. We really droned on for this one, and I apologize, but I hope at least it was entertaining and y'all got some much-needed information. But at least go on YouTube and scroll to the end to look at Begley's stupid frozen face he's on right now. Oh, it's beautiful.
It's gold.
It's 3:50 a.m. This man works first shift, so he ain't seen 3:50 a.m. in forever, and you can tell by this stupid look. Goni, we're Mad Mob out. This is part 2 of running backs. We're done with running backs.
Yes, sir. We're thinking wide receivers.
We're on to wide receivers. We think we're going to do like later on, closer to the actual start of the season, we might do some running backs that could be something that's off everybody's radar. But yeah, as far as just pure positional plays, we are on to receivers. And that's going to be tough. There's a lot of receivers. I feel like rankings are going to be all over the place. So just hang around. Mad Mob, we appreciate y'all. Twitter @MadFFPodcast. Email madffpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Reddit. And we are on YouTube at Mad Fantasy Podcast. We appreciate y'all.